view this recording?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So that should
Excellent.
work. Great.
So Arun, you want to kick it off?
Any way you suggest, sir.
Well, let me just make a quick introduction, if you guys don't mind. I'm very excited to introduce you to Arun and Puneet. They are behind what I think is one of the most exciting stories in the warehousing fulfillment space in India. And well, I'll let you hear by yourself. But let me make a very quick introduction. To me, Hyphen is a bet. It's a bet on India. It's a country, as you know, with 1.4 billion people, one of the largest, one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Actually, the fastest growing economy among the largest economies in the world. Last year, it was 7.2%, so it's a pretty unbelievable growth rate, and it's expected to continue this way for the next few years, over 6%, right? And also, in a country where e-commerce is between 5 to 7 years behind what we've seen in the US, in Europe, and it's taking off, right? So it's a very exciting space. And particularly the space where Arun and Puneet are is warehousing. And you can, as you know, warehousing in India is still in the 20th century. There's no central repository where you can find the list of available inventory, available warehousing. Nothing is online. It's an industry that is incredibly fragmented. The average ownership is two warehouses per owner. And I'm talking about particularly warehouses that are less than 30,000 square feet, which is more than 80% of the market. It's a space that is non-digitized. It's surprising to see that most of these operations are still paper-based. And it's not structured and standardized, right? So the opportunity is really, really remarkable. And the traction that Arun and Puneet have gotten in a very short amount of time is quite meaningful. Testament to this is the fact that they are getting lots of recognitions. And they are part of different accelerators. If you look at the press, the company has been identified as one of the biggest promises in India, one of the future unicorns. So again, very excited to be here in the call with them. Arun, the stage is you. Puneet, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the context. And we are very, very, you can say, happy that you can say prominent, you can say people from the venture capitalist world have joined on a single call in order to understand what we are building at Hyphen SCS. So at Hyphen SCS, we're building India's biggest warehousing and fulfillment platform. We are building because in some of the context, we are already India's biggest warehousing and fulfillment platform with respect to the number of warehouses that we have, with respect to the number of cities we cover, with respect to the number of, you can say, millions of square feet of area that we have. But our intention is not to be number one only in some key parameters, but across all the parameters which is there. So just to give you some context why we started Hyphen SCS, me and Puneet were working with another logistics startups. We were the initial core members of them called Loadshare Networks. Prior to that, we have worked with organizations like Blackbuck, which is a unicorn. I was heading SME vertical with them. Delivery, which is one of the biggest logistics startup in India. Puneet used to work there. He was the initial sales team related person and delivery. And we have also worked with companies like TrucksApp, who was the intra-city's biggest, one of the biggest top 3 platforms with respect to intra-city logistics in the country. So while working across multitudes of logistics startups, and logistics startup works at a different pace. Just to give you context, in 90 days, I took 50 flights out of Bangalore in order to meet clients, 110 plus blue chip clients. So that is the pace at which we reach out to clients, and that not only gave us a lot of learning from these clients in a very short amount of time, and also helped build a lot of network. We were primarily focusing on the surface logistic part, the full truckload part, the part truckload part, etc. And multitudes of time when it came to warehousing, we as a consumer, we were like 3PLs, we realized that warehousing has been a very, very laggard with respect to digitization. If we need any warehouse, we eventually go out to a certain set of, you can say, yellow pages site, or a property portal, or a physical broker. The broker took 1 to 2 months of brokerage. You could barely assist with respect to any kind of upgradation of these warehouses. And with respect to any kind of compliances, ancillary services, the bulk of the heavy lifting needs to be done by either the client or the warehouse owner. So we realized that this particular domain, logistic had seen some kind of digitization more with respect to tracking, the visibility part, some data related to it. But this segment, which had more than 1 million warehouses in India, was still far behind when it comes to digital adoption. Just allow me a second, sir. So I just want to take you through the current early traction that we have in order to build up on what we are going to do. We are doing a revenue of around ARR of around $3 million at a positive net profitable level. As an organization, we believe that warehousing is not a very glamorous kind of business, but this is a business which can be scaled, and it can be scaled profitably. So as compared to most of the other startups, whether they are in the B2B segment or the B2C segment, we have been able to achieve a decent, you can say, ARR at a positive net level. As of now, we have got around 41,000 plus warehouses.
Sorry, Arun, how do you want to do this? Should we stop you when we have questions?
Absolutely.
Or
Whenever you have questions, feel free to ask, because this is a domain which might have some kind of complexity for people coming from different countries. So it would be best wherever you have any clarification required, we'll be more than happy to assist.
Yeah, I agree. If not, I probably have like 35 questions at the end, and maybe we get a bit messy. So what do you mean by positive net profit level? What does that mean?
Net profit.
So what expenses are below this level? I mean, I just want to understand a bit the economics, like what means to operate at a profitable level at this net profit? Like what are the other expenses that are below this P&L line?
So see, the expenses would be manpower expenses, vendor expenses, basically the purchase cost, the cost of goods sold is one of the major expense. The other major expense is the working capital cost, which is there. The third expense is manpower. So these are the three broader, and manpower and technology, which is these are the three broader buckets in which the expenses are there.
Arun, but correct me if I'm wrong. What Diego was saying is that what is the actual profitability of the company? And correct me if I'm wrong, Arun, but I mean, there's no expense below. This is the net profit line.
This is the net profit. This is the net profit after deducting any kind of cost incurred with respect to any subfields, whether it's manpower, logistic, infrastructure. This is a net profitability after deducting all possible expenses which are done in order to accrue that revenue.
So there's nothing else incurred that's below this line. I mean, this is
nothing.
The bottom line of it. So
this is the net. This is the final, you can say.
Okay. I'm asking because you see a lot of, most companies I see are profitable at some level, but you can be very, people are free to pick where they draw the line. So that's why I wanted to confirm.
Agreed. Because in general, there's a different terminology in different country, because some places and also industries, some industries, the gross margin is the more, is commonly considered as net profitable, and some places it varies. So I mean, ours is at a net profitable level. There is no other line item below it.
And I have another question on the next topic that you were going to touch upon, the 41,000 warehouses, 90 clients. What I checked, I went through the deck. I mean, I looked at the traction. I mean, it looks pretty strong. But I would love to understand what's the usage that your customers are doing of your platform. Meaning, of the 41,000 warehouses that you have on your platform, how many have been used or are used on a recurring basis by your clients? And of the 90 clients, how many of those are recurring? What percentage of their business do you think goes through their platform? How is that trending? I mean, it's a pretty broad question, but I think you understand where I'm trying to get to.
Sure. So as of now, these clients, the services that we provide is warehouse discovery, that you want to search a warehouse. Manpower, you want manpower. You want distribution, that is from the warehouse, you want to do secondary distribution of goods to their end clients, whether they are B2B or B2C. You want infrastructure, you want any kind of machine handling equipments. So these are some of you want any kind of compliances. These are the array of services that we provide. Basically, we intend to become a de facto platform for anything and everything related to warehousing. So you come to our place, whatever is required in order to get your warehouse and operations go live, we'll provide it. So these are the array of services that we provide. You can say out of this, on a monthly basis, we bill to around 30-35 plus clients. So 30-35 are recurring in nature, which is there. And some of them, for example, warehouse, not every client would require a warehouse every month. So sometimes it is periodic, maybe after every 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, they've got a vacancy that is done. But on an average basis, at a broader level, you can say 30 to 35 of these clients we bill on a monthly basis. So you can say recurring. And that reoccurring is not on the basis of service level. It is because the requirement is not very frequent in this case, because warehouse will not require every month a new warehouse. So it will happen at a certain degree of periodicity. Otherwise, with respect to the clients who have left us for any service, there is no client that was left us for any service related issues. It's only on the basis of that their demand has been a little dynamic, and whenever their demand is there, we have been able to serve them.
And also, Arun, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
the average length of the contracts that you have with clients is around 1 year, between 1 year and 2
Yes.
years, right?
Well,
So basically, Diego, they sign contracts that are long, I mean, basically between 1 and 2 years, and the renewal is expected to take place if they continue to provide this service, right?
Yes, sir. So that is there out of these warehouses. So see, the understanding with respect to warehouses is these 41,000 warehouses are spread across around 167 plus cities, which is there. We are at the current level, we have got around 15% coverage on an average of the cities. So that means out of 100 warehouses present in the cities, we have got 15. Eventually,
Arun, I think it would be interesting. Oh, sorry, I cut you off because there's a bit of a time delay. Sorry.
No,
I think it would be interesting for you to explain basically how clients search for warehousing, what are the current limitations, and why what you are building is so exciting, right?
Sure.
Because as you know, it's a very manual process that requires the involvement of different brokers. So it's a very complicated process that you guys are streamlining. And I think this would actually give Diego and the rest of the people on the call a better visibility of what you are building.
So what I'll do is
I think
run through it, and there is a specific slide which talks about.
Sorry, Arun. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry,
let's go to that slide because I think the slide was a bit confusing to me. So I would love to hear that specific example of one customer. Like what do they have to do now? Like you can say, you can pick a real case of how they're doing it right now. And I would love to hear, I mean, I understand all the pieces that you provide, but I also like to hear with this specific customer, exactly what you did for them. I mean, I would prefer if it's someone real rather than hypothetical.
No worries.
Especially I would like to understand also, I mean, the ancillary services that you provide, because I understand that's probably where the value is, like the combination of everything you're adding. So yes. I think this would be very helpful for me to, in my mind, understand exactly.
And just to add in there as well, guys, is Javier here, by the way. UK via Punjab and Delhi, so I know a lot about the problem. I know a lot about the problems you're dealing with. The other thing I'd like to understand is where does your customer come from, as well. So particularly for India, particularly for logistics, who owns the customer is really important. And so are you going B2B to C? Are you going direct to consumer? Like, what's the way in which you're acquiring your customers is something which I'm very, very interested in understanding a little bit more about as well. So if within that example, you can just give a little bit of like the color about how that customer came into you, that'll be really helpful.
Sure. So I'll probably in the upcoming slide, we've got a specific slide which talks about the user journey. In that, we can probably give a precursor about how the client comes to us and post which what is the user journey of the client. So that will give a broader context of the entire flow. These are more about numbers, market opportunity, $60 billion. This is more with respect to organized market. Inorganized market is far, far bigger in the country, as probably Javier would know because he hails from India. So he understands the unorganized market is much, much bigger than the organized market, specifically in India. We've got multitudes of clients which are already in pipeline. With this, look at the net value is around 2 million plus, which is there. And we're targeting an ARR of $8 million plus, $8 to $10 million in the next 1 year, less than 1 year. This gives a broader context about what Javier San talked about the context, and I'll just quickly go to the main part of it. The share of top 10 organized players in US is 15%, China is 7 to 10%, that in India it's less than 1.5%. So there's a very, very big scope of organized player. Majority of the market is unorganized and scattered. Even if you look into the average size of warehouses, in the US it is around 100 to 2,000 square feet. In China, it's 20 to 50,000 square feet. In India, it's 8 to 12,000 square feet, which is very small. Since these warehouses are smaller, most of them are not organized, graded, are not very pro automation. And even if you look in the size of the truck sizes are smaller, the average daily commute is smaller. So overall, most of these warehouses, the organized market, the truck size market, the scope of automation is lower. And this is bound to increase with the coming time. With respect to e-commerce taking off, I'm just putting in some numbers, adding more value to what Javier San said. From fiscal year 21 to 26, the e-commerce shipment is expected to grow at a CAGR of 32 to 33%. Globally, it is at around second to China, it is at 30%. And with the increased penetration of internet, increased purchasing power of the Indian youth, this is bound to increase further in the coming years. Overall, we talked about pure play rental market is around $14 billion. This is organized market. Unorganized market is far bigger, growing at a CAGR of 13% per annum, which is probably more than approximately double of the India's GDP, and it is much bigger than the logistic average growth rate. Fulfillment market is $60 billion. Organized market. Warehouses are more than 1 million. Most of these warehouses are offline. As far as the size is considered, 80% of these warehouses are less than 30,000 square feet. More than 50% of these warehouses are less than 10,000 square feet. So this is the market which is unorganized, which is ripe for disruption. With respect to digitization, less than 2% of these warehouses are available online. And now by available online, I mean they are listed online. Forget about booking, only listed through maybe a Yellow Pages site or a property portal. Typical ownership pattern, a warehouse owner owns less than 2 warehouses. So that means for 1 million warehouses, there are more than 500,000 warehouse owners. We have zeroed down it to 2, but it is less than 2 which is there. So what we see is that the market is highly fragmented. It is very offline. Most of these warehouses are not graded, not digitized, and this is bound to change in the coming years. As far as the current process is considered, I'll first come up to the question that first of all, who are our clients? So our clients are typically an FMCG company, an FMCD company, an e-commerce company, a 3PL company, and also in certain cases, the SME, small and medium scale enterprises who are doing distribution of the products in smaller clusters. So these are our clients. How do we approach them? How do we reach out to them? As an organization, one of the key USP of Hyphen SCS is majority of the team is very, very industry centric. We have worked across multitudes of not only logistic startups and you can say more prominent companies in this particular field across the country. Over a period of time, the team has got personal working experience with more than, you can say, 500 plus clients. That means we had onboarded in our previous organization 500 plus clients. We have worked with them. We understand their logistics. We understand the supply chain, and we already have a present goodwill and equity with them. And as far as personal interaction is considered, we have got a personal reach of more than 1,000 plus clients within the small team that we have. So what it does is, in supply chain in India, these people, as far as the go-to-market cycle is considered, or the lead time to closure, they are a little apprehensive of onboarding new vendors or new suppliers. So it takes a lot of time in order to get onboarded, specifically for an early stage startup. So what we are trying to leverage is, we're trying to leverage the work experience that we had and the equity that we have built while working with this organization in the previous year. So it gives us an edge over any other startup, which takes a lot of time in order to build that trust and credibility. And that helps us in gaining the clients. Most of the clients that we have received is completely organic. We have not spent a single rupee on marketing, and we get a lot of inbound due to our personal relationships and our credibility in the supply chain and warehousing domain. This is in general what we do. Apart from it, we have got a sales team. We follow the typical sales, you can say, structure in where the team reaches out to the clients. They ask for their quotations, which is their requirements, and on the basis of the requirements, they try to fulfill it. There's a typical, you can say, normal sales channel that is something that we follow parallelly. I hope I was able to answer your question. There's a specific GTM related slide also that I can run through once it comes.
I would like to understand. I mean, you mentioned you have direct access to 500 potential customers. I would like to understand how you use this network already. You have 90 customers, 35 of which are active.
Yes, sir.
Have you reached out to all these? I mean, I'm trying to get to the conversion rates. Like how many conversations you've had? What point are these conversations?
So with respect to, sir, the conversion rate, see, these clients, a lot of these clients have bigger requirements also. For example, if a client has got you can say 100,000 square feet warehouse. So the typical monthly spend there would be, say, you can say $100,000, $200,000. So what we are doing right now is, we have focused on the clients which had got requirements, which had got these challenges. They have got multitudes of other requirements, but they come at a bigger scale. If we are able to focus only on bigger requirement, then we'll have we'll get fewer clients, and we right now intend to have more clients on board because we understand that they've got a lot of potential. With respect to conversion, the 35% that we are talking, the 35 warehouses, the 35 clients that we are talking about who are transacting on a regular basis, because some of these clients are warehousing clients in which they want a warehouse on a one-time kind of transaction in which we act as a broker. So it's not necessary that it happens on a monthly basis. Some of them are fulfillment clients, like Javier San said, which have got 1 year contract. They are more on a recurring basis. So depending upon the services which are there, we can technically we have different definitions of you can say retention, depending on whether it's a logistic client, whether it is a brokerage kind of client.
And also, Arun, let me interject and correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
But in most of the companies that you will see, Diego, that they are already clients of the company, they are very large organizations, and they have a multitude of RFQs. I mean, as you know, India is a super large a country, and so they are constantly having RFQs for different parts of the country, different parts of the businesses, right? So it's not like a one-time RFQ that gets fulfilled and nothing else happens. This is this opportunity for more and more RFQs from the same client.
Yes, sir, you're absolutely right. So with respect to
Arun, following up on one of the comments you made, what's the split between the recurring customers, like the one that have needs on a monthly basis or frequent basis, and the customers that, well, the customer for which you act as a broker, they need a warehouse for a specific thing because, I don't know, they need extra capacity or whatever?
So at a broader level, if you say that with respect to the 90 odd client, the recurring one would be somewhere around 60, in which you get a recurring kind of requirement, and you can say 30 odd would be a, you can say, one-time kind of customer in which they've got one requirement. I mean, it's not that the client, we do not entertain the client anymore, but when they've got another requirement, they'll share with us. So it's they are live, but they are not actively doing transaction every month.
How do I reconcile the 35 that you have active on a monthly basis to the 60 that you just mentioned?
Reconcile in the sense?
Yeah, like you mentioned that you have 35 active customers on a monthly basis, but that you have 60 recurring customers. What does that mean? Like, why a recurring customer is not active?
So there are 2-3 bases of it. Some of the clients we ourselves let go in case their payment terms are not good. Some of the clients we are very, you can say, cost-centric organization. We focus on clients where we are able to get good margins. In case we are not able to get good margins due to excessive competitiveness there, we drop that particular client. And some places, because Indian logistics chain is still broken, some places there is a lot of, you can say, issues in the logistic with respect to holding of vehicles in the warehouses, or you can say, in general, it is more with respect to the payment delay from the clients. So we actively churn the clients from our side. So it is more of a conscious decision from our side, which client we need to work, which client we do not need to work.
And secondly, a client might have various requirements. Like these 35 one-time clients, they are one-time clients, but the requirement is on a multiple level. As in, one client will have 4 locations, they will have 4 different requirements. So that takes some time to convert these requirements. So I mean, these one-time clients, they might have a regular requirement, but let's say one client will come, they will have 5 requirements. It will take 3 or 2 months to cater to that requirement. So that's the reason they are one-time clients.
And can we jump now into the example of a specific customer? Like how did he do it before? How is it doing it now with you?
So this is the current process. Current process, if you need a warehouse, either you go to a listing site, a property site, or you can say some early stage startups, or you directly go to the warehouse broker's physical office in that particular region. In general,
which is the most common case, Arun, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, basically having a real broker, that's the most typical case still in India.
Yes. So probably you'll see either you go through a platform or you go directly to the broker. More than 90% of the requirements would lead you to a broker and not the warehouse owner. And there is a reason behind it. Previously, we had discussed that about, you can say the typical ownership pattern for a warehouse owner is less than 2. So a warehouse owner typically has 1 or 2 warehouses on an average. That particular person doesn't know where the requirement would come from, because there are thousands of clients across the country. Probably if we take the universe, there'll be 10,000 clients which might be right for them. But they have no idea, no clue, no way by virtue of which they can identify which client requires a warehouse at that particular point of time when his warehouse is empty. Since they've got 1-2 warehouses only, most of these warehouse owners are small. They do not have the technical ability, and practically it's not possible for them to figure out the client which is there. So they are dependent upon a warehouse broker. What warehouse broker does is he aggregates all of these warehouse owners, and he puts these properties on a listing site or on a Yellow Pages site. The clients have no idea with respect to warehouse owner. There are hundreds and thousands of warehouses in a city. Figuring out which of the warehouse is first of all vacant, and if it is vacant, it suits their requirement, is practically not possible for them, which is there. So now they are dependent upon the warehouse broker, either directly or through some of the portals which acts as a lead generation engine for these warehouse brokers. These warehouse brokers, first of all, these portals do not give an complete and accurate information about these warehouses, because these are not verified. Very few of these properties are verified. So for example, in case you want to list as a broker in India, you can go to the site, put any photograph there, any detail with respect to warehousing. You probably put in a small listing fees and your warehouse will go live. So no one is verifying that particular thing. Typically, a broker doesn't give the complete information. Why? Because it doesn't want the client to bypass them and directly go to the warehouse owner. So he will only give some of the information which are good enough as qualifying question. That is maybe the broader area where the warehouse is there, the typical warehouse size, and the range of the rental which is there. Maybe 3-4 key parameters would be there. And he says that if your requirement matches this requirement, then come and talk to me. Come and talk to me, and then I will come visit me. I will take you to the warehouse owner, because he wants to earn a brokerage. So the whole process becomes highly manual. The data is not verified because of the inherent fear amongst the broker that the client would bypass them or some other broker would take that particular property. So they will only give the qualifying question. So that not only increases the lead time, but it also increases the two-way communication which happens. You want a particular data, you reach out to warehouse broker. Warehouse broker doesn't have the data, it reaches out to the warehouse owner. So there's a lot of to and fro that happens. And for this visibility only, for this discovery platform only, the warehouse broker typically takes 1 month of the annual rental as brokerage from both the sides. That is from the warehouse owner also and from the client also, which is typically around 16% of the annual rental, which is the rack rate. So it varies from 8 to 16% of the annual rental just for brokerage. Now the challenge is, even after figuring out the warehouse, even after going through the painful process of manually reaching out to the warehouse broker and coordinating of getting the information first and then getting the visit scheduled, most of the warehouses in India, like we discussed in the previous slide, that 80% of the warehouses are less than 30,000 square feet. Around 55% of these warehouses are less than 10,000 square feet. These warehouses are not plug and play. So first of all, we need to understand that there's a big difference between what a US and a European or even a Chinese warehouse and the Indian warehouse is. So since these warehouses are not plug and play in nature, that means even if a particular client has a checklist of 10, you can say, things that he requires from a particular warehouse, I mean, in the best case scenario, probably a particular warehouse would fulfill 6-7 of these scenarios. Then there are 2-3 scenarios which are pending, 2-3 requirements which are pending. It might be related to getting a certain set of flooring, additional dock, getting a compliances or permission required to get the warehouse running. In that particular thing, the broker generally doesn't assist in any way. So that is being thrusted on either the client had to get these things done, or the warehouse owner. So the client would say, warehouse owner, you get it done, then only I will take the warehouse. In case the warehouse is in demand, the warehouse owner will say that this is the warehouse. If you want something, get it done yourself. So despite paying around 16 up to 16% of rent, you can say brokerage just for discovery, they are unable to assist much with respect to getting the warehouse ready, getting the, you can say, lacunas, getting it upgraded as per the client's requirement. Even after that, so warehousing rental, getting the warehousing ready, warehousing rental is typically 25% of the 20 to 25% of the total spend in a warehouse. Once the warehouse go live, they require manpower, they require trucks for distribution of these goods, either whether to B2B or to a B2C client. So the warehouse broker is unable to assist with them. So the client who's using the warehouse have to themselves scout for, you can say, logistic service providers, infrastructure service provider, manpower service provider, compliances agents to there. So typically the whole process, first of all, becomes highly manual, non-digitized, a lot of to and fro happens. You are paying a hefty, you can say, brokerage despite paying a hefty brokerage, bulk of the heavy lifting you need to do. So not only is cost unoptimized, it is also time unoptimized, and lot of manpower, which is, you can say, the latent cost, the manpower which is required in coordination is wasted there. The other key challenge is for a lot of these bigger clients, for example, the Johnson & Johnsons of the world, what they would do is they would probably have, say, 40 mother hubs across the country. And then they will have, you can say, various spokes, smaller warehouses for and last mile deliveries. A typical case would be if they've got 40 mother hubs, these 40 mother hubs would have been booked through 40 different brokers and would be managed by 40 different, you can say, fulfillment players. So that is the level of fragmentation which is there. So not only in a case-to-case basis, it is highly manual, time consuming and unoptimized, but even if you look at a macro level, that means for 40 warehouses, because they are present in a pan-India level, so they have to do another set of scouting for each and every city, which is painful also, and it is very time consuming also. And there are a lot of chances of error because some of these places are new. Scouting the vendors, verifying whether they are the right set of vendors itself is time consuming, which is there. So this is a broader level, you can say, in general, typical process of searching a warehouse and getting it ready for operations, which is there. Any questions up to this point?
No, I think everything's clear. I would love to hear now how you are simplifying this.
Yes. So what we are doing is, this is a very simplified version of what we are trying to do. We as an organization want to be the de facto platform for anything and everything related to warehousing and fulfillment. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to work on the two phases of a warehouse life. A warehouse has got two phases. One is pre-go live. That means the warehouse is unoccupied and we are getting it prepared for a client to use it. So for that, you need to search a warehouse and you need to upgrade, organize the warehouse so that it has got all the compliances, infrastructure, etc. ready so that the operations can be done. The second phase is when the warehouse is already occupational. The warehouse is being used by a particular client for the distribution and fulfillment of goods. In the first case, we are building a discovery platform and marketplace. This discovery platform, what we are doing is we understand that the first thing that in the, you can say, client's life cycle is searching a warehouse. So searching warehouse is the catchment area. When you search a warehouse, then other ancillary services, other things revolve around it. So what we are trying is we are getting these warehouses on board on our platform. We are solving for challenges like authenticity of data. Our team goes to the physical location of that warehouse, captures latitude, longitudes, and data on more than 40 parameters. So as compared to any platform, any broker, the data is, all of this data is very physically verified. You get more filters. So you can slice and dice the warehouses and zero down to the right set of, you can say, warehouses which you need to search. You can probably zero down to 2-3 right set of warehouses. And then we arrange the physical visits. We assist with respect to, we become a pseudo kind of consultant, which helps them in getting those gaps fulfilled through our curated set of vendors. And post which, once they go live, once the warehouse starts operations, what we do is we are building a platform called Warehouse Book, which is a one of the kind facility management app. By facility management app, I mean they are able to manage manpower attendance there. They are able to manage assets. They are able to manage maintenances, renewals. They are able to manage utility bills. They are able to manage visitors. So it is a, you can say, bearing the inventory part, because inventory part is generally governed by the client, the kind of WMS that they are using. This is a facility management app, on a one of the kind administration management app, which helps them manage the other things which they are right now managing probably through an Excel sheet or through physical pen and paper. Now, what it does is, so the idea of Warehouse Book evolved from the concept of hooked by Nirayal. So we wanted to build a, you can say, solution by virtue of which the warehouses which are already operational, the typical occupancy rate of these warehouses was 70-75%. That means out of 100, say if it's a 1 lakh square feet warehouse, average utilization was 70,000, 75,000 square feet, and they were paying for 1 lakh square feet. During festive season, during peak season, they required additional space. During off season, the utilization even went down to 50%, but they were paying for the entire unit across the year. So there were multiple use cases where client required additional spaces during peak season. During off season, they have got a lot of additional space which was vacant with them. So we wanted to build a solution in order to cover this major inefficiency in the warehousing cost, which is there. So first of all, we thought that let's build a solution, an application in which any warehouse which is operational would say that this is the space that is available with me. If someone wants to sublet it on an on-demand basis, I'll be able to assist with that. But then we talk to multiple, you can say, operators, the 3PL clients, the managers who are managing warehouses, the operational executives. Then we realized that these people will not be using this platform because, first of all, they are not very digital savvy and it doesn't add any other value. It's only about listing the platform. So it will be very difficult to increase the adoption. So then we thought about it. What do we build that creates a traction between Hyphen and the warehouse managers and also adds value in their day-to-day life and acts as a dynamic hook for partial space selling, the space which is unutilized by them. So Warehouse Book was the answer for that. By Warehouse Book, they are able to manage their administration and facility related things, whether it's manpower, whether it's assets, infrastructure, bills, visitor management. So it has got a day-to-day, every single day use case. So now if we have that particular application, we'll be in the position to push for on-demand warehousing. If they have got the space, they will get automatic notifications. They can say yes or no. So it increases the visibility of the unutilized space, which is a very, very big gap in the Indian logistic industry through this platform. The other thing it does is, out of say 5 warehouses, at any given instance, 1 warehouse is unoccupied and 4 warehouses are occupied. So whenever my, you can say, warehouse executive goes to a particular warehouse, 20% chances are that it would be, you can say, unoccupied. 80% chances are that it will be occupied. So in case it is unoccupied, we will list them on our platform for discovery for clients. In case it is occupied, we'll push them for Warehouse Book so that they can manage their facility, the warehouse in a better manner, and also avail the on-demand warehousing facility. They can sublet their warehouse and they can also take spaces when they additionally require it. Apart from it, the amount of data collected in the Warehouse Book in itself is a gold mine that can future lead to cross-selling with respect to infrastructure. They can buy the infrastructure from our side, insurances, renewals, maintenances. So this can be an additional source of, you can say, revenue once it achieves significant traction. So through this platform, what we are trying to do is we are trying to reduce the brokerage by up to 75%. That means in the best case scenario, we take no brokerage from the client and we take 50% of the brokerage, which is from the warehouse owner. That means instead of, you can say, a 16% warehouse brokerage, which is taken in totality, we take only 4% brokerage. What it will do is, first of all, like we talked about GTM, since we already know the client, we have worked with the clients, we know their supply chain logistics, we already have an equity, attraction, and understanding of the supply chain. On top of it, if we say that we are not taking any brokerage from you, then it becomes a no-brainer for these clients to share their requirements to us. Because we work at economies of scale. We understand, if we take 50% of brokerage from the warehouse owner, it saves them the cost. Now, on top of it, when we say we have got lakhs, hundreds and thousands of warehouses which are there, thousands of clients on our platform transacting. So the chances of their conversion becomes the highest in our case, because we'll be in the position to show them options faster, the right set of options, whatever pendencies are there with respect to getting the warehouse live, we already have curated set of vendors for them. When the warehouse go live, we've got a solution to better manage the warehouse. So at an overall level, we are catering to all different multiple sets of problems which these people occur, and we try to become you can say a go-to solution for these clients and make it a no-brainer for them. So it reduces cost.
Let me interject if you don't mind, Arun, because you know, Diego, I understand your question. It took me a while to understand because it's a pretty complex thing what Hyphen is doing. So let me know if this is helpful. I mean, I'm going to generalize too much, and if this is not helpful, I'll just stop. But basically, take the base case of a typical major brand in India, and one of the largest companies, let's say Tata, right? And they have RFQs that require a pan-India solution. As Arun was saying, they require warehousing in different geographies within India. The current situation right now is that they gotta engage different brokers in all these geographies, and they have to engage different 3PLs and logistic companies in all those different geographies. So for them, it's a pretty time-consuming exercise, relying on different people. the time that it requires to fulfill or to actually get an RFQ fulfilled is around 60 days. It's expensive, right? So this is the current situation for brands or for manufacturers in India, right? What Hyphen is doing is becoming a one-stop shop where the client only interacts with Hyphen, and Hyphen takes care of the entire requirement across India. And then once they locate the warehouses, they also get them ready to fulfill the client's requirements. So it's a one-stop solution. How do they actually help the clients, and how do they do this efficiently? Is through the use of technology, because as of right now, clients, and you talk to the major unicorn like Delivery, they will tell you that even though they build the platform or the technology for the client to do everything themselves, they still rely on manual people to for them to do the business for them. So what Hyphen is doing is using technology to make the process very efficient for them to operate and to increase margins, with the objective that down the road and progressively, they will get the customer to do more and more of the process themselves. So for instance, now Tata is going to say, Hyphen, I want to have warehouses in X, Y, and C city. Go and get this for me. Eventually, down the road, I say 3 to 5 years down, when the customer has become comfortable with the whole process, eventually the customer will go to the website himself or herself and find the warehouse by himself, right? This is right now something that is done completely by Hyphen, and they are using technology in order to make the process very efficient for them. Hopefully, this gives some background, Diego. I don't know if it gives something to the conversation.
So rightly communicated by sir, because right now it's like, first of all, it's informative, getting the information in place, which would in future would become assisted, and then it will become guided. When we have sufficient data, it will become not only a discovery platform, it will become a tool for supply chain decision makers, because they will get idea on the basis of data. What is the typical average rate in that particular location? What is the average?
I don't even, sorry to cut you, but even before that, I mean, think about the current situation, Diego, is that you have a company that has requirements, let's say in 30 cities, right? So working with 30 different brokers. What Hyphen is doing by just collecting all this information in a central repository is that they don't even need to interact with these 30 brokers. They can, within in some cases, within hours, they can fulfill that requirement because they have all that documentation. I mean, they have all those warehouses already registered, standardized, ready for clients, right? So in terms of efficiencies, it's a game changer.
I think I understand that part. I mean, I think it's clear improvement to the previous situation. The next part, I mean, that's where there's some improvement to make. I mean, but it's not improvement on the product itself. It's probably maturing of the market and educating the customers, in the sense that there's, which is what you were mentioning now, Javier, that's some manual job that needs to be done. This is not a platform where they go to the discovery site and they can book what they want. They add the requirements. They can find the warehouses that on paper would fit them. And then it's on Hyphen to go to this, 10, and find the ones that are actually available or actually meet the requirements, and you get back to the customer, right? That's how it works. But the warehouse also has the booking platform, or the warehouse book.
Or... Right now, it doesn't have the booking platform, but it has got till the time of scheduling a visit, because in general for warehouses, apart from the on-demand warehousing, they do a physical visit before finalizing a warehouse. So the discovery related part to scheduling the visit, the physical visit, that is done right now through technology, which is there. Hopefully in future, in 3, 4, 5 years, there would be a time when the logistic ecosystem would be in a position to book it online, because as of now, the culture is not there. We intend to build that culture, but it will take some time. But right now we are digitizing the process till the time they do a physical visit, and curating the kind of, you can say, the infrastructure that they require. They get quotes online. So we are doing, you can say, probably 70-75% of the life, you can say, entire workflow through the system. The last final edge would require a cultural shift in the industry, which would take some time.
And regarding warehouse,
sorry, Diego, I interrupted you.
No, I was going to ask about the warehousing book. This is a separate. The way I understand it is that you have kind of a marketplace, a curated marketplace of warehouses.
Yes.
cannot be booked. Well, what you can book is a visit, but the visit is probably always going to happen. Probably few people would like to book a warehouse in India without visiting them. So
Yes,
that's as
you're
far
right.
as you can go.
Yes, sir.
You're building a separate software, which is Warehouse Book,
Yes,
which
sir.
is kind of a, I mean, it's not a B2B SaaS. You are not monetizing it that way, but it's a software you are giving warehouses to manage their operation, not their inventory, but to manage their operation.
Absolutely right.
With the hope, I guess, that they are starting to use it more and more often. And
Yes.
at some point, you will be able to connect the two. No, like once Warehouse and Book is maybe 3 years from now, you have accurate data, you're managing capacity, you're managing everything you have, you're managing all this ancillary services that you can offer. You will be able to connect the two. You will be able to book a visit, but at the same time, you will be able to book from the platform all these different services, and you will be able to see what if the capacity is available. I mean, if there's capacity, know when, those type of things. That's
This will happen. This will happen in this first year only, because the warehouse book, for example, in this particular case, warehouse book is looking into the occupied warehouse stage. If you look into the slide, we are building it, and that would be connected to the main platform. So our platform would have a
so
unique
these 41,000 warehouses they are already using it, or
no, they are not using it. Once the warehouse book is ready, we'll push it to these warehouses, whichever warehouses are operating, to use that particular thing. Now these warehouses are occupied because the whole you can say premises of this warehouse book it is for operational warehouses. What it will do is these warehouses data would be connected to the main platform. So our main platform would have a unique ability that it will not only have unoccupied warehouses, it will also have occupied warehouses whose data would flow from the warehouse book to the main platform, which you can book on an on-demand basis. If they have got space available, you can book it on a partial space basing on a short-term basis, which is there.
And what's the status of Warehouse Book?
So
Where
this is
it ready?
So we have created the wireframes. Everything is done. Now we are working on the MVP part of it. Hello.
What's the timeline for it to hit the market?
So typically what we in this particular round, what we intend to do is we intend to build a stronger tech team, because as of now, our key focus is more with respect to the platform and the marketplace, which brings in the bigger value. And the warehouse book is something which is an additional product which completes the complete life cycle and integrates with it. But this is something which we intend to completely build and launch within 1 year, with complete integration with the main platform.
I mean, to me, Diego, this is one of the things that I liked about the story. Like many of the companies, they focus on building the product first without really having the customer, right? The focus of Hyphen has been, while building the product, while designing it, they've been very keen on getting customers from day one, right? For two reasons: to really make the operation financially viable from day one, but also to keep learning with the customer in order to have a very robust solution, right? Because in the beginning, this tool is perceived to be, or is designed to be, or is meant to be as an efficiency tool for Hyphen itself, right? So it's not a real product for the client to purchase as of right now. Eventually, it might be, right? And there's a situation, and we're already talking about basically warehouse becoming the de facto application for warehouse operators, right? And we can get into that, but it's getting a little bit complicated. But I mean, the point here is that the focus on clients, to me, is and getting business first has been super helpful. And as a result of which, the product that you are going to see within 12 months is going to be quite robust, and actually is going to meet the needs of both clients and Hyphen itself.
Agreed, sir. So basically, sir, what we intend to do is we intend to build, and we intend to build in a unit positive manner. We can burn the money, we can build other platforms, but what we are trying to do is, like sir said, we are getting the clients, we are earning some revenue from them. That revenue we're trying to utilize in building other things instead of probably burning cash. That has been our approach till now. But in case we get certain kind of investors who say that, okay, say, Arun, Puneet, we give you some money. You first of all map all the warehouses, build this particular thing. We'll earn the money later. That is a different kind of approach. As of now, as an organization, we are more in the fast and frugal approach instead of burning money, because we understand that we have to be very cost sensitive. We have to be self-sustainable, so that at least we are not disturbed by any kind of funding winter or anything like that. At least we do not have to worry about survival by any chance.
So I'm anticipating one of the last slides, Diego, but basically this round is meant to do a few things. One of the most important ones is to really expand the geographic footprint of the company and go into 15 new hubs. Number two is to continue to build out, but in this case now in a very, I would say, industrial way, to build out all the tech, right? And the third major aspect is to get working capital in order to increase the number of contracts that they have with major players in India. So these the three major uses of cash, and tech build out is one of them.
So so this is just a snapshot of the warehouse book, which is there, which I've told you. It talks about, it's got search filters. You can rent, buy, you can schedule visit online. As of now, you cannot book it online. We can give a book option, but it is not in the culture of in the supply chain industry in India that you book online, apart from the on-demand part, which is a short-term contract. So that's why we have not focused much on it. First, we are intending to bring the data online, getting these people used to such particular things, such kind of efficiencies, and eventually going in future, we can have a virtual tour of video tour of these warehouses, and probably in some cases, people even booking the warehouses online, which would be probably a significant achievement at any scale. But this is something which can happen in future. So this is a discovery platform which provides searching, which provides, we have got a marketplace which provides all kind of ancillary services. You can get real-time quotes or quotes for products and curated set of products from vetted vendors at an economical cost. We are partnering them at a pan-India level. At a pan-India level, we become the key accounts for them. So we are able to negotiate better rates on the basis of the slab, the volumes which are there. We're able to get better service level, which probably a single warehouse, you can say, owner would not be able to get, because they will not.
Let me interrupt you again. I think it's also important to differentiate between the discovery platform and the marketplace itself. So the discovery platform is sort of the first part of the equation. It's getting all the warehouses online, properly standardized and documented. And then the marketplace is for later. Once the warehouse is being booked or the warehouse needs to be upgraded, all the services that are required for the warehouse to function properly, like getting, I don't know, security, or getting new racks, or getting certifications. That's what Hyphen is creating. It's a marketplace for the providers of services to the warehouses, not to the clients themselves, but to the providers of the warehousing service.
Yes, sir. Agreed, sir. So basically what it does is, you find the warehouse here, you parallelly in that particular pin code or particular location, you find all set of you can say infrastructure, services, compliances, which is there. So you do not have to scout and search manually, find right set of people. You get it done in a single platform.
In my mind, I mean, let's see if I understand this correctly, but right now you have a discovery platform that allows you to do bookings, like book a visit, and it's a curated selection. Ideally, this will become kind of a marketplace to look for locations, so you can be kind of an end-to-end, not just the visit, but basically everything there. Yes. At the other side, you have another marketplace that you plan to build, which is a marketplace for warehouse providers.
Yes.
Which links the warehouse providers in this to their suppliers, so people who provide them with services. And in between, connecting everything, you have warehousing or warehouse book, which is a platform that the warehouse or provider will use in addition to these two marketplaces that are also bringing leads and bringing suppliers in a way to manage all their operations. And once you have that, it's basically you have the whole line, the horizontal line that processes everything. Yes. And that's when you can connect basically every party of the industry.
So in short word, we'll become something similar of a full stack with respect to the services which are there for across the different life cycles of a warehouse.
And what you have now is you have the discovery side of things. So the first part of the left marketplace, let's put it that way. You are working on the software, like the warehouse book that should be ready in a year. And once that's ready, that's when you will start working on the last part, which would be the marketplace for warehouse, or that's something that you're already working on?
The marketplace, we have developed a prototype, but it is on a separate platform. So it's something similar to an e-commerce kind of thing, which the beta is already there with around 1900 products listed there. But this is a beta which is there. So we have not put it live in the public. But as of now, if you say, we have built a marketplace which is good enough to, at least we can show it to the people, but it's the beta version. And we have already onboarded around 1960 products on it with the
Yeah, so
description.
this is an important point, Diego. This is already operational. But again, as I mentioned before, this is another efficiency tool as of right now for Hyphen, for them to secure all these services in a faster, better way, right? It's not something that they've opened up to the public. Eventually it will, but not right now. It's operation. It's internal use only.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. I mean, this is what you use internally when a client wants, I don't know what, like something like manpower for a certain warehouse. This is where you go to find availability. The idea is to basically skip that step, so the warehouse can be the one who does this and directly connects to the client.
Absolutely.
So you remove yourself as the middleman.
So
The
within this,
warehouse or the 3PL provider or whomever is giving
Yeah.
the warehousing service to the customer. Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
like sir, that currently is an internal tool, which is a fully functional tool, but over this 1 year, we'll make it public. So the client can themselves also search, filter, compare these, buy these products in bulk with bulk discounting, get it shipped, get real-time quotes for these products. So this will be live. So this 1 year, this 1 year period post funding, both the warehouse book and marketplace would go live, and it will be integrated. It will be completely integrated with each other.
Arun, I've got a quick question. Just sorry to take it in a bit of different direction because I know we're running out of time. But how do you overcome? You know, I'm going to say the word in Hindi because I don't know how to say it in English. Hera feri. I think in Spanish it would be soborno. Because on the call. But hera feri means basically just like the backroom dealing.
Yes.
You know, the fact that the informal sector in India is still the largest sector.
Yes.
No amount of digitization will get rid of this.
Absolutely.
You're gonna get into a situation where you're making these introductions, doing these visits. What happens if, you know, the next time if someone needs informal space, let's say for 1 month, but they're gonna need that 1 month once a year. What's to stop them just saying, I'm not going to use you ever again? That's first question. Second question is on your marketplace. Let's say I need manpower. I need manpower, 2 days a month, but I need it for every month of the year.
Yes.
Again, what's to stop me just coming along, using your platform and then saying, no longer want to use these guys again?
Very apt question.
I'll go directly to the person that worked with me. He was great. They were great. I'm going to go to them instead of coming to you. How do you get around some of that?
So very, very apt question. So if you look into this thing, we said that brokerage reduction up to 75%. We said that we will not be taking brokerage from the client. So once you don't take brokerage from the client, they've got no incentive to directly go to anyone with respect to searching the warehouse. That is with respect to warehouse discovery. So this is one part of it. So if you're not taking any brokerage, they know us from the beginning. We have worked with them. We are providing them online access of these warehouses, which they generally have to reach out to a broker. Broker would send in 1 or 2 days in a not so good format. Multiple to and fro is happening. We give them in a more professional, you can say faster lead time, real-time comparisons, which the other will not be able to give. Broker would take 1 month's brokerage, 15 days to 1 month brokerage. We are not taking any brokerage. So it becomes a deterrent for them to switch to a broker. Why would they switch to a broker? Now, with respect to other services, now that is with respect to warehouse discovery. Now, if they want to have, lightly said, if they want to have manpower, if they want to have some kind of infrastructure, if they want to outsource the complete fulfillment to us. India is a trust deficit economy. So India wants someone who can be held liable if something goes wrong. A lot of these service providers are regional in nature. A lot of these service providers, so they want one person, for example, in a particular warehouse, there are probably 10, 15, 20, 30 different set of vendors, material which be required. It might be a CCTV camera, you can say a camera which is there. It might be a fire extinguisher. It might be a pallet. It might be a TV. It might be you can say a machine handling equipment. There are multitudes of things. So there are multitudes of vendors which are there. Now for them, yes, they can, in that particular case, they can reach out to them after one transaction, they reach out to them, but then they have to reach out, then they have to make a track of all of these 30 different types of manufacturer and service providers. If anything goes wrong, they have to take hold of each and every one of them. What we are doing is, first of all, we are taking the ownership in between. So you are dealing with Hyphen SCS. If you are dealing with Hyphen SCS, first of all, we are taking the ownership. We are dealing with other things. The second thing is, since we are working at a scale with all of these smaller players, a one warehouse owner or one warehouse would only have a limited quantity which is there. So even if that particular manufacturer wants to directly go and work with a client, that would be one transaction. And eventually we get to know that they have transacted directly. So they would, in broader term, they would not like to leave, basically earn in one transaction and leave a lead generation engine like us with them, because we'll have hundreds of transactions with them. So both from the manufacturer side, it is not a very good choice to, you can say, bypass us. Of course, there will be some cases in which people will do that, but at a broader level, it doesn't add much value to them. And similarly, with respect to the client needs someone to get hold of. They don't want to deal with, if we have got 30 different products which are required and they have bought through 30 different manufacturers, they have to deal with 30 different of them. The quantity would be smaller. They would not get the service level. So they don't want that headache. Typically, they don't want that headache, because the premium that costs in the manpower cost in itself in order to coordinate with them, plus the intelligence required, which are the right set of vendors, the right set of cost, would be far, the cost of paying whatever commission that we get would be far lower as compared to setting up their own system and processes, experimenting and getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only argument I have against that these days is 1mg, right? 1mg in India had this exact problem at the beginning of its life when it was essentially brokering medications. For those who don't know, 1mg is one of the largest digital pharmacies in the world, run by the Tata Group now. They had the same problem where they were incentivizing not on the customer end, through basically eliminating brokerage at the customer end for getting their medications. They put that cost entirely on the business, on the pharmacy, but that just ended up with the business and the pharmacy then acquiring the customer via the lead generation engine of 1mg and then getting rid of 1mg. Yes. For the short-term revenue, right? For exactly the short-term revenue. But that's how India has always
two fundamental
always worked on the short-term revenue, though, right? So that's where my worry comes in.
There are two fundamental differences between 1mg and us. Like you said, it is a very apt, you can say, apprehension. First of all, medicines are fairly standardized. If you want a medicine, you name a medicine. But if you want a 5,000 square feet warehouse, you will get 100 variants of it. So that requirement, if a client requires 5,000 square feet warehouse with some docs, you will get probably hundreds of different variants of it, different shapes and sizes, because of the lack of standardization of it. So that is one difference. The other thing is, for example, I require medicine. I can go to the nearby shop, which is there, because I'm aware of that particular shop. But if I require warehouse, I know that the warehouses are in this, say, for example, a 5 kilometer circumference, but I cannot figure out which warehouse, because outside the warehouse, it is not written what is the size, whether it's available or not, the specifications are not written. So our trade is very different, because in our trade, if even figuring out that warehouse is itself a very challenging task. And once it is a once in a year activity for a particular location, then the people will not put in that cost in order to figure out that particular warehouse, because that would be an extensive cost. That is not an area of expertise. And in order to build that expertise, there'll be more money spent in building that expertise. They will rather pay to a broker. That's why they're still operating with a broker. Otherwise, even after paying, you can say 8 to 16% of annual rental to broker, they would have thought that, okay, this doesn't make mathematical sense. So let me build my own team who scouts the warehouses and everything. What we are doing is, since reducing the brokerage and reducing the lead time, we are making it even more incentivized for them to work with us. And the non-standardized warehouses is something which is the precursor of why we started it. And that's why it becomes a little. So I'm not saying that it is not possible. There will be certain cases which will happen in this particular case, but it's too much of effort in order to save that saving as compared to a 1mg model.
Jugaad will always happen, right? In India.
Yes, it will happen. It will happen, but the possibility of this scenario in a medicine field and in the warehouse field would the chances are significantly less as compared to the medicine field. Of course, there are people in India. People would like to save wherever they are, and there'll be people who will try to figure ways out. But at a broader level, if we say that maybe 1 or 2 cases out of 10 would be there, so we have to factor in that case, because you cannot change the culture of the country in a short period of time.
I got one more question, if you're quickly allowed. just on taking, it's a very procedural question, on taking in money from abroad with SEBI, new rules coming in. I do a lot of investments in India. I'm an OCI, all that kind of stuff. So, but for this investment, are you cleared by SEBI to take in funds from abroad?
Yes. So we have raised around $1.22 million. We are a Delaware C Corp. And every time we get the fund, we do the Puneet is the relevant person. He does the filing for it. And we have got a proper, you can say, compliance agency, which works both in India and abroad, who looks after the complete thing. And we also have got a company secretary, legal secretary, who looks into it. Puneet, can you throw more light on it?
So yeah, so basically all the amount will come via Hyphen SCS Inc, as Arun said. That's a C Corp Delaware company. So the funding is basically done there, and then we get the amount to India via FDIP 0006 route.
Okay.
I have to drop. So I have to leave already the call. I would love to hear. I mean, just what's the timeline for the round? What's the status? What time? I mean, just to manage our own times, like internal times, because if we decide to move forward, there's a process that we have to put in place. So what's the timeline that you are working with in terms of the round?
Yeah, 2 months. We want to get this done within 2 months.
Okay.
So I'll quickly, I mean, with respect to Sridhar.
Does this work, Diego? Does this work for?
Yeah, it
EC?
works. Yeah, it works.
Okay.
I really have to leave because I'm late for another call and I'm pretty late already. But yeah, it was great. I don't know, Javier, if you want to stick around, you can. If you have any other questions or just any other topics you want to touch, and maybe we can circle back after the call.
I got a few to just quickly ask. That's fine. I'll stick around. You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Great meeting you.
Thank you. Pleasure interacting with you.
Ciao.
So should I run through the presentation? Have you got any specific questions?
No. I don't think we need to run through. I think we've gone through quite a lot of the major things. I've actually got specific questions about people who have already spoken. Have you spoken with the large logistics providers already in India? For provision of data. I'm talking about the IQVIAs, those kind of guys. Have you spoken with some of those guys before?
I didn't get your question, please.
How are you? I'll phrase the question differently. How are you working with your data, and are you monetizing the data side of your business a little bit more than just provisioning data to the customer? Are you looking at it from a back-end data provision perspective?
So as of now, we were part of an accelerator called Velocity, which was run by Delivery and Nexus past month. So which selected the top supply chain emerging startups which are there. So with respect to data, as of now, we are using it for internal consumption, which is the area where we're getting more RFQs from, which is the area increasing the density in those areas, so that once we have a significant density, the process of selecting a warehouse becomes as close as real time as possible, which is there. As of now, we have not monetized it, but monetization, the data is part of the plan, because this monetization can help in cross-selling with respect to insurances, cross-selling with respect to infrastructure, at what cost they have bought. We'll be having an asset module in the warehouse book, in which the cost of the asset would also be put. The renewals would be put with respect to insurances. The maintenances would be put. So on the basis of the data, we get a clear-cut picture on the basis of the data, that what are the things which we can cross-sell. The other thing is, on the basis of the requirement data, what is the requirement that the client is sharing us, we will eventually have heat maps. What is an area most of the clients are searching for? What is the rate at which we are searching for? What the density of warehouses is in that area or not? So accordingly, in future, we'll be building cloud for warehouses kind of thing. We'll be building fulfillment centers, which will act as a cloud for warehousing. For example, 100,000 square feet warehouse. If you require 5,000 square feet, you require 7,000, 2,000, 10,000, we'll be able to provide it. Because it will be more of an, you can say, Ola and Uber strategy. Ola initially got all the warehouses, all the cabs from cab drivers. Eventually, when they had the demand in hand, they started procuring their own cabs and moving the requirement to their cabs first, followed by the other people. So with this data, we'll be in the position to take better decisions with respect to starting a fulfillment center, a cloud for warehousing in future, and monetizing the data with respect to cross-selling infrastructure, compliances, services, and even to, you can say, manufacturers in building products which are suitable for, you can say, automation in, say, smaller warehouses, which are more relevant to it. But as of now, we have not monetized it as such. But as discussed with Javier San, this is a big agenda. Data in itself is a gold mine. And we want to collect more and more data. We want to get more dense data so that after a certain period of time, we would have good enough data in order to monetize it and make meaningful decisions from it.
Yeah, Javier, I mean, if I may say, this is one of the things that really got me interested in, and another reason why I got so interested in the company, because the potential itself is huge from this perspective too. The thing is, as you can see, the story is complicated enough as of right now, not to focus on this area, but eventually it's an area of tremendous potential. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the reason I asked the question is I used to work for KPMG, right? In India, in Delhi. I used
Thinking
to
about the reports for these companies from economic activity. So we've been talking about this. The potential is huge. I mean, huge. Yeah.
It's one of my things around monetizing quickly in India is that people are willing to purchase the data, particularly insurance providers.
Right.
Yes.
So
right.
I'm going to introduce you guys to a guy called Amit Mukim. He's the head of Asia for IQVIA. He basically brokers data and sells it into large insurance providers. And I'll introduce you to Amit so you can speak with him. He invests in our syndicate as well. So I'll introduce. It'll be useful for you to speak to him in India.
Absolutely.
Just quick final question: cap table. Who's on your cap table currently? Both India and external that we may know.
So these are some of the prominent angel investors, and with respect to some micro VCs, and we have got On Deck and Flexport and Incisive Ventures based out of US, and there's a consortium called Indian Professional in Japan, and we have the other some of the key prominent angel investors are Robin Joff, who is the managing director of Frost & Sullivan, Charlie Songers, who is ex-head of corporate strategy global for Microsoft. Martin Tobias is part of the Incisive Venture, which is there. And we've got Niloy Majumdar, co-head of Faculty of Japan, Aeon. We have got Taichi Nakamura, CEO of Venex Shop. We have got Daisuke San, who is executive director of UBS Japan. We have got Javier Sir, founder of Bluebat, I take. Santosh Gagde, director Sevilis. Anand Shiralkar, CEO, Rian and DGFT. So we have got a prominent, you can set of investors, angel investors, and some micro VCs who are based out of US, Japan, and Latin America primarily.
Okay. Great. Nothing else from me.
Javier, very nice to meet you, by the way.
Yeah. Podemos hablar en español.
Sí,
Claro.
sí. Sabes,
Yo soy Javier.
yo conozco a José Nieto. Algún día hablamos. Si quieres, hablamos
Sí.
en detalle.
Seguro.
Oye, ¿cómo es que habla español también? Ah, porque trabajas para Zubi, claro.
Sí, Zubi Capital.
Pero estás en Londres tú, ¿verdad?
En Birmingham.
Ah, en Birmingham. Vaya, ¿cómo ahí? ¿Cómo en Birmingham?
Como los Peaky Blinders, ¿eh? Yo soy de la India, pero de Birmingham. De un poco de Kenia, de África.
Yeah, okay.
I got a few different places. I'm from a few different places.
That's great. Excellent.
But,
all right, guys.
I
So
work for a Spanish. The context, Arun and Puneet, is I work for a Spanish fund. That's probably why it sounds confusing. I speak both. I'm probably the only person that speaks both Hindi, Punjabi, and Spanish, and I can also speak Swahili because my dad's from Africa. So I'm one of the few people in the world that does that.
So I'm a pass out of IFT. Currently, I'm here for an operation summit. Just closed the summit, and I'm here. So I learned Spanish when I was at IFT around 10, 11 years back. And the only thing that I recollect right now is mi nombre es Arun Pandit. So I used to write paragraphs there at that particular point of time because it's an international business school. So you have to write letters in Spanish. And Spanish is one of the most spoken languages which are there, but completely forgotten.
But you guys are based in Karnataka, no?
No, we are based out of Noida, Delhi.
I'm coming to Delhi, and my dad's in Delhi currently. I'm coming to Delhi in February, so I'll come and see you guys.
Which place?
GK, South Delhi. So
that's great.
It's nearby to us.
Yeah. I used to work in Gurgaon. I worked in Gurgaon for 2.5 years. Covered KPMG India. So I know India very well. I lived in India for a while.
Great, amazing. Good to hear that.
Great. I'll send you some follow-up notes from the meeting, and just intros I'll make to you, and then you can distribute as needed for a few people.
Sure. Thanks a lot. That would be helpful.
Okay, great.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the weekend. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Take care. Bye.